So now we're going to go down here. We're going to look at a little bit of government. So most cases that arise under federal law are tried in the federal court system. The federal court system has several levels of courts and several routes by which cases may be appealed to a higher court. So basically, the Supreme Court is the highest court that you can possibly get to. They are known as the court of last resort, meaning if you've exhausted every other court, or it's usually they deal with constitutional law on a federal level. So if they can't go anywhere else, it's the court of last resort, the Supreme Court. And then you have your Court of Appeals federal. Then you have your district courts, claims court, and then federal regulatory, state Supreme Courts, Court of Military Appeals. So a U.S. import-export firm files a lawsuit against a foreign trading company. In which court is a suit most likely to be filed? So you can kind of ignore this right here and look that, so it's a import-export, it's a foreign trading company. You're going to go with the Court of International Trade. It's just that one, you don't even have to have this diagram. You can just get the information from the question. 28, the U.S. Constitution established only the Supreme Court, but it gave Congress the power to create inferior, lower-level courts. Which of the following is the most likely reason that Congress established other federal courts? The justices of the U.S. Supreme Court were not well versed enough in the law to handle all federal cases. Well, to be in the Supreme Court, you have to know your stuff. You have to be very well versed in all things legal, all things constitutional. So that's probably not going to be it. You're not going to have people that don't know what they're doing in the highest court you can possibly get. The volume and variety of federal cases were too great for a single court to handle. So this one's going to be your answer. And the reason being because you have one Supreme Court and it's looking at changing country, so they can't possibly deal with every single case that comes through. They can't come through and deal with somebody stole my car. They aren't going to deal with that. They're just too big and they have way too many other cases of more importance. So they made smaller courts to deal with smaller cases. So this is going to be your answer, and you don't really have to go past that. It doesn't say anything about Marbury versus Madison. You aren't going to know anything about that. They're just trying to confuse you on that one. And its system of inferior court, federal courts gave the United States prestige. It has nothing to do with how we look in the eyes of other countries. It's all about how much they can handle. So if cases are not resolved in any of the lower courts, so any of these lower courts right here, to which court may they be eventually finally appealed? That one's going to be the Supreme Court. Like I said, if you've exhausted all these other courts, you go to the Supreme Court, the court of last resort, and they will decide definitively on the answer.